Does your busy work life make losing weight feel impossible? If you've ever woke up, looked in the mirror, and thought, where the hell did this belly come from? Then you may feel like your metabolism has dropped and you have to work even harder to stop getting fatter. You're not alone. Often what worked for men in their 20s doesn't work for men over 30. And busy guys get stuck doing strict diets and extreme exercise plans that leave them starved and exhausted. But over the past 7 years of coaching CEOs and professional men, I've discovered the top 15 simple ways everyone can use to shed weight for good so they can get back to their busy lifestyles and feel great about themselves. But don't stress. You don't need to do all 15 of these ways tomorrow, but follow along so you can see which way is best for you to start shedding weight this week. 3 categories. The first one is going to be the 7 top nutrition mistakes, 5 workout beliefs that sabotage results, and 3 big mental barriers that block optimal health. So the number 7, I ate way too much pizza last night, or insert any other food, pizza, burgers, pasta. Common thing I hear from anyone and everyone, family, friends, clients. And here's how I would approach it, and here's how I guess is a way you can think about it. So my response would be, well, no problem, no stress. What actually happened? How much did we have? So let's assume we had 5 slices. Now, a slice of pizza is around 200 to 250 calories. 5 slices, 1,000 to 1,250 calories. So it sounds like a lot, but if you consider what a normal dinner would be, it could be between 500 to 800 calories. So in that case, we're only about 500 calories or up to 500 calories over your normal budget that you would have for dinner anyway. How can we fix that? Well, we can fix it tomorrow. All we need to do is skim that 500 by just focusing on some smaller portions, making a few better decisions on snacks, what you choose to eat. And here's how we can kind of look at that. If we start at the top left, got the pasta and bolognese. Now, obviously, the massive plate's going to be high calories, but if you just trim down the portion a little bit, very quickly you can save 300, 400, 500 calories just by skimming one meal. You could fix the previous day's binge, if you want to call it, just by focusing on one meal. Then you could also skip the croissant, skip the tiny bag of crisps, even though they're so delicious. Kettle chips are so good, but sometimes you might have to just ease off on that a little bit. You've also got to be careful of like liquid. The mocha lattes with the cream and sugar and all that stuff, that could rack up to 300 calories, which is quite a lot for a 1 cup of liquid compared to a black coffee, which might only be 5 calories. And then the good old eggs and avo on toast. Delicious, 100%, but 400 to 500 calories for breakfast when you could maybe have a couple of scrambled eggs, 200 to 250. So you can see how easy it is to just skim and trim calories. That means you can still enjoy a dinner out, still have a glass of wine, have a beer and a nice dinner without feeling guilty about it the next day. And just to get a little bit technical and show you how you can actually fix this from a calorie standpoint, if you've ever used MyFitnessPal, it's a calorie tracking app, this is how you could structure it. Just assuming you had a 2,000 calorie day, call that a normal day, and you had then a blowout day the next day and you ate 900 calories more than what you would normally eat. Sounds like a lot, but here's how you can fix it really simply. That 900 calories will carry over to the next day. Right, so you could easily fix that by then just consuming 1,100 calories, but that might be a challenge because it's a lot less food than what you would normally eat on a given day. So instead, we can just break it up over multiple days. Assuming the same blowout, 900 calories over, you assign 300 to start the next day, then you can eat 1,700. Day 2, you're already starting the day at 300 again, 1,700. Day 3, same deal, and then by day 4, you're back to normal. This is something that I use all the time with my clients, and it gets them out of trouble, whether it's Thanksgiving in the US or it's a birthday or Christmas in Australia, whatever it is. This is how we fix it. I know it might be a little data heavy, but it kind of simplifies the process and gives you back control instead of blaming foods, because we really don't have to blame or call this is good, this is bad, because all foods are fine if you use them in the right way. Number 6, my friend did the keto diet and lost 10 kilos. Should I do it? Now, it could be keto, it could be paleo, it could be low carb, shake diet, the man shake, whatever you want to look at. But the approach to it is always going to be the same. Is that person going to quit carbs and sugar forever? Likely not. So then the question comes, well, how long can they do this diet for? If it's only going to last 1 to 2 months, which is the average time someone would do a keto diet, then is it even worth starting it? I would say probably not, because as soon as you finish that diet, then all the old habits are going to come back in. So to give you an example of what fats and carbs actually look like, and by the way, the keto diet is great for certain reasons, but there's no magic if you just eat all fat and no carbs. There's no magic to that. It's purely just energy in, energy out when you understand it. It's kind of like dollars in, dollars out. The numbers don't lie. And to give you an idea on that, avocado is 240 calories. A scoop of coconut oil is 117. That's quite a lot of calories just for a small tablespoon tablespoon of coconut oil versus 200 grams of potato, which is only 160 calories, right? So there's nothing evil here. It's just looking at what do I want to eat and does that fit my budget? Just to simplify that and give you a bit of an analogy, like if you imagine I took you to an island and on that island was no food, no shops, no animals that you could hunt, no berries, bananas, coconuts, no fishing equipment, so you couldn't go fishing and catch any fish or crabs or prawns or whatever. The only way you could eat is that I dropped off a esky full of meals planned out for the entire week. And all those meals were calorie controlled and portioned with the right amount of protein, the right amount of carbs, the right amount of fats. So you were guaranteed to lose weight and you couldn't eat any more food, so there's no way you could gain any more weight. And then I'll come back in a week and give you another esky. The question is, would you lose weight? Of course you would, because there's no possible way for you to consume more energy in. That's a simple way of looking at it from a high level view. Number 5, I gain weight every time I travel. I love this excuse because I've currently got a client, I won't say his name, but he's doing amazingly well. He's been all over the US, now he's in South America, and he's down 6.5 kilos. And he's been in almost a new state every week. So even he's blown me away with his commitment. So let me show you what he's kind of doing here. Rule it out. 100 calories in Sydney is still 100 calories in Noosa. Wherever you are, it's the same. Okay, so just to clear that up. So this is the approach I would take. First of all, you want to look at where you're actually going. So if you are going to Noosa, or let's just assume Sydney, even though we're in Sydney, you can just Google search it. I know it's very simple, but the simple stuff works. So you can go to Google, type in the hotel you're staying at, or even TripAdvisor, and it'll bring up all the restaurants in that area. Click on the restaurant, and then it's going to show you the menu options. Click on that, and then you know ahead of time, okay, we're going to be going here for dinner. I'm going to see this client there, going to have dinner or lunch with mum there, or the kids, and this is what I'm going to order. So you already know ahead of time what you're going to have. You're not going to get caught out and surprised. And if you're wanting to do it perfectly, you could do the numbers ahead of time using MyFitnessPal, which I'll explain in a minute. And a little bonus tip on travel is to understand that those days you're going to be typically moving around less, like a lot of sitting might be in the car, on the train, on the plane. Therefore, the energy you burn is going to be less on that day. So if you're eating the same food, there's a whole bunch of energy that you just ate that's not getting burnt off. So that's when I recommend to look at fasting on those travel days. Number 4, I heard about fasting. Should I do it? Well, let's explore that. There's a lot of good reasons that you should do it. There's a few reasons why you should maybe consider not doing it. To keep it really simple, I've put together a bit of a table, as you can see, but the idea is with fasting, we want to understand what it actually is. Now, plain and simple, fasting just means not eating a certain meal. I know there's a lot of beliefs and evidence and science and books and doctors talking about fasting as if it's going to have all these anti-aging benefits and cure cancer and do all these wonderful things. I'm yet to see that really play out, but that aside, it's a great strategy and you'll see why in a second. Normal day, breakfast, lunch and dinner, you're still fasting for 12 hours. So if you eat dinner at, say, 7, and then you don't eat again until 8:30 a.m. the next morning, between those, well, provided you're not creeping into the pantry and snacking on chips and chocolate, which I'm guilty of at times, but that's still a fast. But then if you look at a 16-8, then you're skipping breakfast, so you're going to be falling under that 16-8 category, which just means you're going to be starting your meal around lunchtime and finishing your eating around 8 o'clock. Or you could even have 3 meals in that window, it's just you're not eating breakfast. That's really what it is. Then we have OMAD, pretty simple, and that would also be called a 24-hour fast. Because if you're eating at 8 p.m. and the next day would be 8 p.m., that's 24 hours. So some quick benefits on fasting. Time productivity. By not eating a meal, you can do something else, and that's always fun, provided you're not starving. The mental clarity and focus in the morning is the biggest benefit I hear from everyone, which is why I do it. And it also can help you lose and just manage your weight. And that's another reason why I do it, is that I can kind of eat what I want for lunch and dinner. Because I'm skipping breakfast, I've got a whole lot more calories. Again, the anti-aging thing and the renewing your cells, I haven't seen enough evidence myself to sit here and preach that, but I can preach everything else. A few downsides though. It can be awkward not eating breakfast if you're always invited out to breakfast. So this is something that's a bit more lifestyle based. If you like to go out and enjoy breakfast with the family, with friends, with clients, do you want to be sitting there staring at them while they're eating a big breakfast? I don't know. Or pancakes? Maybe. That's one thing to consider. Also, if you work out in the morning, there's a good chance you're going to burn up all that energy in the gym and then be really hungry. So if you're not going to eat then until lunchtime, you might start to feel your energy crashing and declining, your mental focus kind of fading away. So that's when, you might not fast every day. You might fast in between your workout days. There's different ways you can use it. It's not like you need to die hard faster every single day. You can use this strategy when it fits. It takes time to adjust to because our body's in a circadian rhythm and it expects foods and releases hormones at certain times. So if you're always eating at 8 a.m. and all of a sudden you stop, don't be surprised if you're hungry at 8:05 and your body's feeling a bit weird. Medications. Sometimes you have to eat because you've got to take a medication. That's just the way it is. And one of the big problems I see is that protein is often very low in diets of busy people because you're kind of always on the go and you just have to grab what's around you. So you can't stop and have T-bone steaks, whenever you, at any time of the day. By shrinking your eating window, it can be difficult to get a healthy amount of protein. And when I say healthy, I mean it depends on your goal. If you're looking to be fit and strong, there's a certain amount that you should aim for. Otherwise, it can be hard to achieve that. And yeah, they're kind of all the reasons why I do it. Is productivity helps manage the weight and also gives you that mental clarity and focus in the morning. Number 3, everyone had beers or wines, but I stuck to water. Feels like a good thing, feels like a positive thing, but it depends. Because if you are someone who doesn't drink alcohol rarely ever, then that's okay. But if you do enjoy a beverage, that's also okay. But what it comes down to is how you enjoy it and what you enjoy and how much of it you enjoy. So just to give you an idea, obviously drinks contain calories and they vary quite a lot, but it's not as high as what you would think. So if you have 2 glasses of wine on a Friday night, it's really not a big deal. It's just under 300 calories, or 2 Coronas, or even a Hahn Super Dry, that's 99 calories. It's not a lot. But when you start to get into the cocktails, like 240 calories, that's where it gets dangerous. So you've got to be careful of those. Lemon lime bitters, bourbon and Coke, also dangerous. But if you have like Coke Zero, that's got 0 calories. That's a little hack. Not condoning alcohol, but just so you know that you can avoid calories by picking Coke Zero or other versions of that. Vodka lime soda or scotch on the rocks, and a good scotch, of course. You don't want to drink the cheap stuff. And something I just wanted to add in before we move on is there are some downsides, which we're all aware of, but just to point out the obvious. When we drink alcohol, it does dehydrate the body more than what it normally would. So it could be 24 to 48 hours of this actually affecting your body. And that can also impact weight because of water retention. So if you've been really good and doing a lot of steps and you had a few drinks and wondering why the scale's fluctuating a lot, this could be a reason. And it does impact the sleep as well. And I won't talk about sleep because that's a whole other seminar on its own almost. But there is an amazing book called Why We Sleep that I believe every business owner should read, just because it's going to teach you how to get more performance out of your waking hours by mastering your sleep hours. And that's by Matthew Walker. So if you haven't read that book, you might want to pop it on the list for Christmas if you're having a break and don't know what to do. Number 2, I've been snacking on healthy nuts between meals. Let's see how healthy these nuts are. One thing I want to say is just be careful not to turn a snack into a snacksident, which can happen very fast. So, Woolworths Nut Mix, a measly 80 grams will cost you 500 calories. That's a rip-off. Totally not worth it. Because you could easily fill up on a banana, berries, or even a protein yogurt for much less than a little packet of salty nuts, which are going to make you really thirsty and probably even hungrier again after eating them. So keep that in mind when it comes to snacking. I'm not going to stand here and say, don't snack and don't eat this. I really don't care what you eat, provided it fits your budget and it's aligned with your goals long term. Last one. This one for me was a challenging one because it's come up a few times, and the reason I want to bring up this topic, being, it was my child's birthday, but I was really good, I didn't have any cake, or I didn't have this, or, any scenario like this. It's not about if you should avoid the cake or be good. What's actually happening is that diet mentality is kind of ruling your decisions. And something that I think most people, at least I didn't for a long time, is consider is the impact that has on other people. And I realized this with competing. When I was being really strict and not eating what everyone else was eating, it kind of made them uncomfortable and they didn't like it. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped competing, because it just wasn't sustainable from a lifestyle point of view. But I also see this happen with diets when people are a little too strict, even if it is their child's birthday, they won't eat the birthday cake. It's like, but it's only one slice of cake. It's only 290 calories. And what we're not thinking of is how is the child seeing that? How are they perceiving that? Having Italian heritage myself, as kids, it was always about like eat all the time. So we'd always stuff ourselves, and that's the impact it had on me. And it took years to break out of those binge habits. So it's just something, a little kind of seed I want to plant is what you're doing and how is that impacting other people in your life. 5 biggest workout beliefs that sabotage fitness and strength. I already know what you're thinking, and I think the same thing too. We all wish we could outsource our exercise, and if I could figure out how to do it, I'd be richer than Bezos. But anyway, I'm still working on that. So, number 5, working our way down. If I lift weights, I'll hurt myself. I hear this one quite a lot, and there's a good reason for it, because injuries suck, and, anyone by the age of 20 has had some kind of niggle, some kind of injury. So we want to avoid that. But also what we want to think about is if we do avoid weights and we avoid exercise in general, or just enough movement, that is going to set us up for a higher long-term risk of injuries because of weaker bones, weaker muscles, weaker joints, and just not having a strong core, which is what's going to support your posture and your spine long-term. So I just want to quickly show this image here. Both of these images are a 66-year-old male. And as you can see, the weight is practically the same. There's a 2 kilo difference. But the biggest difference is between the fat mass. So 34 kilos there, 57 kilo there, and 36 kilos of fat-free mass, which basically refers to everything other than fat, which includes muscle. So a much higher muscle mass, a much lower fat mass. And the secret tip here is the step count. So you can see the difference in the scan. Well, the person on the left only does about 3,000 steps. The person on the right does about 12,000 steps. Now, does that mean you should do 12,000 steps? Not necessarily, but it's a great clue to see how just moving more can help us maintain a healthier, stronger, fitter body. And just to kind of inspire that point even more, this lady's name is Joan McDonald, and she's got a really cool story. I've seen her on social media for a few years, and she started at 70, and at 75, she's in the gym lifting deadlifts, squats, bench presses, what all the young girls are doing there, and has never felt better. So it's never too late to start. Number 4, I travel too often to work out. I understand this problem. It's really annoying when you don't have your perfect air-conditioned gym with all your buddies and your special little locker and your special drink bottle all there with you. I get it, it's really annoying, but there's a lot of ways to work around this. So how I would approach it, similar to the nutrition point, is to Google search where you're staying. So let's assume you're staying at Sheridan on the Park and you want to Google that and see if they actually have a gym. Most hotels have a gym these days, and if they don't, there will be one within a radius unless you're camping or staying somewhere like super rural or on a small boat. But most of the time, you'll have access to a gym. If the gym at the hotel isn't anything flash, then you can just Google that area, and it's going to pop up with gyms in the area. So I just Googled here, gyms near Hyde Park, and straight away you got Anytime Fitness, City Gym, and Premier Health and Fitness Center. And often these gyms will give you a day pass for like $20, $25. So it's really easy to get a workout in if you're away from home for a while. Second to that, the last resort is to use bands or body weight workouts. And you'll be surprised what these bands can do. There's all different resistance levels you can get, and there's heaps of different exercises you can get away with just using a simple circular band and a few little attachments that you might get in a bundle. So this bundle here is just on Amazon. It's like $29. And you get 4 different bands, handles, and a door. It's like a door jam thing where you can close the door and hook it up the top and do pull downs and chest flies and all the different things. And yeah, it's really cool stuff. All right, let's move on. Number 3. I don't like gyms and I don't want to use one. No problem. You don't have to, because you can set up your own home gym just spending a couple $100. Initially when I started my business online, I thought everyone was going to be as obsessed with the gym as I was. But it turns out that more than half my clients all work out at home using this stuff. A combination of bands, benches, and dumbbell set. And that's what got me through the lockdowns as well. So I maintained probably 70 to 80% of my strength just using simple dumbbells and bands at home. So you'd be surprised what you can achieve in the backyard, in the garage, in the spare room, just a couple $100 on basic equipment. Number 2, I only lose weight when I do lots of cardio. Let's have a look at why. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is if you need to do a lot of cardio, a lot of walking, a lot of running, a lot of classes, biking to lose to see the scale drop, then the chances are that the calories are too high. So there's too much energy coming in, there's too much food coming in, and now you're having to work overtime to burn that off. And that's what this chart here kind of shows at the bottom. So if you imagine that your calories and your daily metabolic rate are at equal, then the scale is not going to change. So then you have to add cardio to get into the fat burn zone. And just to elaborate that point further, one of my best mates is a pro footballer in Melbourne. So he does an incredible amount of cardio pretty much every day because he has to, he's paid to play. And he also does gym workouts because he's got to be strong and pretty buff to get tackled and jump around and do crazy stuff on the field. And I was asking him about how does he manage his weight. He said it's really hard because he does so much output, so much cardio, so much training. If he doesn't eat a lot of food, he gets extremely hungry straight away. And if he starts to cut back a little bit, his performance will deplete and you'll start to notice himself, losing strength and losing performance. So my point from that is more isn't always better. And often it's the people who do an extreme amount of exercise do still struggle to manage their weight and to see the body fat levels drop. And just to give you a quick example to see, like, per hour, what impact each exercise can have. So if you're cycling at a reasonable pace, you can burn 470 to 750 calories. If you're power walking, which is what I recommend because it's not too intense on the joints and it's not going to make you super hungry, you could burn 220 to 400 calories an hour. And that's all well and good, but what you need to think about is the whole day's amount of calories. On average, if you get around 10,000 steps, you might burn 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day, which isn't going to come from the workout. So a lot of people think, like, I need to go to the gym to lose weight. No, you need to go to the gym to get stronger and fit and feel great about yourself. Where you're going to drop weight or maintain your weight is in the kitchen. It's going to come down to what you eat. And the best way to track that is using any kind of fitness tracker. They're all fantastic. I use the Oura Ring, which might be hard to see, but it's a little ring on my finger and does everything that the Apple Watch or Fitbit would do. So I highly recommend using those and paying attention to steps, calories burnt, and also your sleep quality. That's something that a lot of people forget, is how consistent their sleep is. So if you're losing sleep or waking up in the middle of the night, that can impact hunger levels, your ability to focus, and also the inflammation and stress in your body as well. I won't go into that topic, but just want to point it out. All right, number one, if I lift weights, I'll get too big. One of my favorite excuses that I wish was true. Trust me, I really wish this was true. I trained so hard for so long and I'm still only 71 kilos. It's really disappointing at times. No. The reality is it's not easy. Unless you want to take steroids and train twice a day, you're not going to get huge. And let's assume that you just woke up one day by sheer accident and you were just massive, right? And you're like, whoa, where did all this muscle come from? What do? Just ease off a little bit. Don't train 5 days a week, train 3 days a week. Cut back a few exercises. It's not a big deal. So that excuse is real, but it doesn't ever play out in reality. Now, the benefits of training are obvious. You're going to have stronger bones, stronger joints. As a result, less injuries. Having more strength and muscle on your frame is going to help your metabolism stay optimized, because when we do kind of reach that 30 to 40 age range, that's when things level off. And after 40, it starts to taper down and work its way down until we are no longer here. So if we can work against that, then we can always be above average and stay young. And it's just by coincidence, all of the people I know who look a lot younger than their age happen to work out and train a lot. There's no magic there. And by training and moving a lot, you're going to stay more mobile, more flexible, have less aches, less pains, less back pain, knee pain, all that stuff. And I really see it as the proper anti-aging drug. Like, there's really nothing out there that can give you the benefit of just training 3 days a week for 30 minutes. There really isn't. It's a huge return on investment for such a little time input. And just to point out what you should be focusing on, from a real high-level view, if you're looking just to get the best bang for your buck, like get in, get out, get it done, and have a good return on that time, you want to be focusing on compound movements. So squats, pressing, rowing, all the movements that involve multiple joints, because that's going to be hitting all different muscle groups. So not doing too much isolation. The 8 to 20 rep range is a safe place to get stronger and build strength and actually notice a difference in your physique. When you go above 20 reps, it starts to tap into the endurance range, which is more like, it's still healthy, but it's more like aerobics. So it's more good for your cardiovascular health, and you might not see much change in your body because there's not enough stress on the muscle cells. And you may not have heard of this before, but RIR, reps in reserve, what that actually stands for is leaving a little bit left in the tank. So you don't want to be training at 100% all the time and burning yourself out, especially if you work out in the morning. If you're screaming the house down at 6 a.m., you're going to deplete all your energy. Then when you sit down at the desk to work, if you do work at a desk, you're probably not going to have the spark that you would have. So I always say leave a little bit left in the tank, and on those days that you do have the extra energy, you can push it a bit more if you like. Another simple one is leave cardio after the weights so that you don't deplete your energy before you start lifting weights. So when you're lifting weights, you want to be making sure that your core is braced, that you're focused, that you have the energy to perform the workout so that you're not putting yourself at risk of injury. So always leave that cardio till after. And practice a full range of motion. I could tell many stories about this, but you often see people in the gym who will put 20 plates on the leg press, and they'll get on there and make a big deal about it, and then they just do this. That's it. 3 reps of knee pops. That's not doing anything other than just loading up the hips, knees, and back. What you'd be better to do is start really light and say, all right, how deep can I go? Can I get all the way down to parallel? Does that feel okay? There's no pains. Let's try another little bit more. Does that feel okay? Let's go all the way down. Great. And then control it back up. You'll get a lot more benefit doing a full range of motion
versus loading up the weights and just popping your knees like a dance move or something. Okay, that's all the workout stuff. So the final 3, I'm not motivated right now. Let's talk about that. Now, every day we brush our teeth, we're not motivated to do that. We reply to emails, we're not motivated to do that. So motivation is, the way I see it, is actually a privilege, because we only get motivated when we see progress. But to get progress, we have to do something first. We have to take action. You obviously already know this, otherwise you wouldn't be in this room. But this is kind of the way my mind sees it, is we take action, we see some results, we go, yes, what I did worked, I feel great, now I want to do it again, and we build a self-fulfilling positive spiral. And one of the best books on this topic is Atomic Habits. If you haven't read it, and you're in business, you're doing yourself a massive disservice, so please read it. Number 2, I'm too old to have a toned, fit body. No, you're not. Just have a think in your mind what his age might be, and I'll reveal it in a second. This guy's a CEO, he's a founder, chairman, father, does a lot of cool stuff. 65. Pretty impressive. I mean, if I look half as good as him at 65, I'll be over the moon. So it just shows what's possible. And number 1, I don't have time, it's not a priority. I get it, we're all busy, and it can feel like standing at the base of Mount Everest, especially if you haven't been frequently exercising or you haven't got the perfect diet. It can be a bit overwhelming. I totally understand that. And a lot of us can be all or nothing, myself included. But there's a concept from this particular book, The Lean Startup, called MVP. Well, for health, it's the same philosophy, MED, which is minimum effective dose. Now, how I like to look at that is just change one meal. Don't try to overhaul your whole pantry. Don't make it everyone else's problem. Don't even announce it. Just keep it under the rug and just think, what can I do tomorrow? Just tweak one thing, get it working. Start with one workout. You don't have to start with 5. Start with one workout and get all you can from what you have. This is why I don't let any of my clients do more than 3 workouts, because they haven't mastered 3. Why should they get 4 if they haven't mastered 3? And just to give you a quick idea on how that would look, 3 workouts gives you rest days in between, right? So that means you recover, you get stronger, you get your energy back and you go again, then you can have the weekend off. Or you could even go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It's flexible. But when you work out 5 or 6 days a week and you miss a day, it's very hard to catch up. So this is why I recommend just mastering 3 first, and then if you want to get fancy later, add 4 or 5.
So earlier I talked about fasting, which is a powerful fat loss method and also the most popular topic that the audience asked me about. However, nobody knew about the hidden side effects that impacts our body and metabolism long term. So check out this video here to find out what the hidden side effects of fasting are and how you can avoid them when using fasting as a way to lose weight and keep it off.